Michigan State, and the Spartans have a lot that they've got to get done. Maybe they found the man for the job in Jonathan Smith, formerly the head coach at Oregon State. He's brought in on a 7-year, $7.25 million deal per year. Garrett, my gut feel here is Jonathan Smith is a great head coaching hire. I've been a fan of his for a number of years. I can't remember who did the Oregon State preview for us back in the summer. But I've been a big Jonathan Smith fan for a while. He got them to their first 10-win season at Oregon State in program history, had them ranked inside the top 15 for a good chunk of this season, and finished with, I believe it was a 9-3 campaign up there in Corvallis. The issue for me is not the head coach, it's the location and quality situation of the job at Michigan State. That is a program that is in need of severe rebuilding, not only from a football standpoint, because everybody and their kid brother has hit the transfer portal, but also from an image standpoint. Michigan State has had so many things, so many scandals go wrong over the last few years. And I'm not even talking off the field stuff. I'm even talking to the brawl between the Spartans and the Wolverines in the tunnel after last year's game. It has been such a poorly coached, a poorly run organization in East Lansing. I think I'm more afraid for Jonathan Smith than I am for Michigan State.
You might actually have a point there. Just to make sure we're on this, 8-4 was the record this year. Lost the
8-4.
last
Okay.
two to Washington and Oregon,
Yeah.
with Washington State and Arizona. So those are the four losses there.
Okay.
But didn't feel like that. It certainly felt like it was a much better season than that. A couple of close losses too: two to Washington, three to Arizona. Those are a
Yeah.
couple of really good teams. Three to Washington State as well. So let's not talk about the Oregon game. But if you're looking at this, I think this is a good hire for Michigan State. But I'm kind of with you. It might just grind him down more than it builds up Michigan State. I think that this is a program builder in Jonathan Smith. He's the kind of guy that if you need to tear it down and make this thing work, he'll be able to get you back there. He said as much in his introduction post, right? When the coaches make those posts on social media talking about how excited they are to go to their next job, one of the things that he said in that was something along the lines of, I'm committed to doing this the right way and to building a program the right way, no matter how long it takes. We're going to build a program that's set up for long-term success, and talking like that. And I love that. That's good speak from a head coach. But this is really what Michigan State needs right now. They need somebody to come in and be that guy that can, kind of stay with them and deal with some choppy waters and kind of guide them through this next step. I think he's a really good head coach. I just kind of think the timing is bad for Michigan State here. This isn't the right time, I don't think, to go into a rebuild, just from the standpoint that you're about to enter a conference with no more divisions, and you have Michigan and Ohio State where they are right now. You're adding in Washington and Oregon. Who knew those were going to be the two imposing teams coming into the conference? uh, as well as USC if they can figure out the defense, and maybe they have a Lincoln Riley problem, maybe they don't. But those are 4 or 5 teams immediately that you would say, okay, we'll go jump any of those teams at sort of that really good to elite level. You can throw Penn State in there as well. Um, there's 6 programs there that you have to think about jumping to get back into this conversation in your program. I'm not necessarily optimistic that he can do the job fast enough, and I hope that they'll stay committed to him long term. But this is a 7-year contract. Obviously, he'll get the 7 years to do it. But I wonder what happens if he turns in a couple of 4 and 8s at the beginning with a rebuilding roster, or if he turns in just like a 6 and 6 or a 7 and 5, and it's not quite getting to that level as fast as the Spartan fans want. I don't know the temperature on the ground there, but I'm wondering what would happen if he turns in a couple of slow years here on the beginning.
I I certainly don't think that this is going to be a quick trigger pull to get
Right.
Smith
Yeah.
out, because this is a roster that is going to have probably less than, I don't know, 40 scholarship players when all is said and done. I mean, every single player is allowed to transfer in the wake of a coaching change. And so Jonathan Smith, I'm sure he's going to bring some guys with him from Corvallis. He's at least somewhat familiar with that region of the country, but this is a program building move. He did it at Oregon State, where he was a quarterback way back in the day. Very familiar, obviously, with the Beavers and their brand. Now he's moved up a level. Now he's moved to a college football program, a college football playoff program from back in the day, right? Folks forget that the Spartans have made it to the Final Four before. They're a long way away from making a return to the college football playoff, even in the 12-team iteration. But I love the hire. Jonathan Smith is a guy that can come in, can instill a culture, and I think he is an excellent fit to guide Michigan State through what inevitably will be a bumpy next couple of years. As we've seen with USC, with Colorado, there are no shortcuts through the portal. You cannot just build a super team. Michigan State isn't on that level anyway. But I love it. I think this is a heart and hustle guy, a high character guy. And I think Jonathan Smith is the perfect hire for Michigan State. It's just going to take a little bit of time to pull the cord on him soon at all would be a gigantic mistake for Sparty. But I don't think they're in that camp. I think that fan base realizes the hole that they're in.
Right. And I wasn't saying that was the case. I was more, guessing at what would happen if that were to happen, if it goes, a couple of years of kind of bad football. It's not getting up off the mat. I'm also curious in terms of program building, how well he's going to be able to take advantage of the portal up there. Because on one hand, I think he did a pretty decent job with Oregon State. He was able to get a couple guys. DJU was kind of the big dude that he got to, bring in. But I'm curious who wants to sign up to go move up to Michigan State if he doesn't make a big splash initially, right? Who wants to go sign up to do that if, it's still Michigan, still Ohio State, still Washington, still Oregon, maybe add in a resurgent Iowa if they can ever find out how to play good offense. You could have a lot of teams that are, really they look better in terms of where their program is. They could look a lot better of, what their future could look like, and they might be the bigger players in the portal. I'm just curious to see what he can do. I'm not doubting him. I just think I'm waiting to see what he can do in the portal, and if he can bring in some guys that can help kind of kickstart this thing, get a little bit of heat behind it. Because if he can get this thing going, then I have no doubt that he can, win on the field and build this program to where it needs to be.
Actually texting with a Michigan State insider right now. So we may have more on the Michigan State side of things coming down the pipe, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify. Just we'll monitor that and see what transpires there.
Gracious him! How about that?